Greetings and welcome to another special episode of Out the Box Talks. I'm your host, Cril. I want to give a big shout out to my co-host and my brother A Level, who could not be here for this episode. This is episode 13 of Out the Box Talks. But like our last episode, we had promised you an interview with an artist who's been rocking with us for quite some time. I mean, I want to say back in like 2008, one of our first interviews for our Out the Box TV platform. He's been rocking with us, and he's done an interview with us prior. So I'm really happy to have the brother on the line with us, for the beautiful listening audience of Out the Box Talks. He has a new album out. It's called Dusty on Mellow Music Group. So without further ado, I want to introduce our listeners to my brother Homeboy Sandman. What's good?
How's it going, Cril? Good to be talking with you again.
Yes, indeed, man. Yes, indeed. I got so much to talk to you about. I mean, I feel like a lot of time has passed, but as I'm talking to you right now, I'm like, man, it feels like it was just the other day when we were building on this platform,
I remember it.
Indeed. So, I mean, just for the listening audience that might not know, give the people just a briefing on how hip hop became an actuality for you as an MC.
I guess hip hop meant a lot to me in my youth. I listened to a lot of it, and I guess I was a musical child. And I guess just given the environmental factors, the music I was drawn to the most was hip hop music, and spent a lot of time doing this or that. But over time, God instilled in me the confidence that I could make a living doing what I love, and,
which is a beautiful thing, man.
Which is a beautiful, beautiful blessing from God, who provides all things to me.
True indeed. So this new album entitled Dusty on Mellow Music Group, the album artwork looks pretty basic just on first glance, but as you look some more, you see how it resonates with the actual title. Tell me a little bit about this project. Like, what inspired you to come up with the title Dusty?
Sonically it sounds very dusty. With all the warmth of the samples, that Mono used. And it was also occurring to me that, like, on this record, I'm very dusty in that I could stand for some polish, you know what I mean? I could stand for some renewal, you know what I mean, on this record. As I listen to it, I regard it as art, what I'm making, and it's speaking to where I am at the time of creation. And I feel like I was very focused, and I feel I put, this feels to me like one of my more cohesive projects, if not my most cohesive. But I could do with some renewal, I could do with some renewal. I'm kind of covered in dust. And another way I've described it is, I could do with some polish. Another way I've described it is just I think I want to stick with that today, though. Yeah. Like, I feel that as far as my creativity and capacity to create, I was performing at a very high level or creating at a very high level. But I feel like my soul lost some luster. But I mean, don't blame the record.
I think that's a good place to to go from, the meaning of the album. Now, I have to say, I've listened to this album frequently in the past. It's only been out for about I want to say a maybe a week and a half.
Maybe a week and a half, yeah.
Right. And the one thing I get from this album is a lot of freedom. I hear a lot of freedom of expression, freedom not to feel boxed in. I can hear it like almost on every track.
Out the box, stay out the box.
Yes, yes. Good point. Good point. So, you know, I when I think about you as an artist, that's what you embody. You know, for all the years that I've experienced your music, you've always embodied this. But I feel like this album, you're really putting this on the front line. Now, I know that you were. I don't know if you were signed or I'm not sure what your deal was with Stone's Throw, but I know you were with them for quite some years. What
Hmm.
um what was that experience like, and like what would you say is the most valuable thing you learned from being linked up with Stone's Throw?
Stone Soul is a fantastic label, you know, and putting records out with them, you know, was a career changing experience. I got to learn a lot just about the, I guess, the business of music. You know, I went into my agreement with Stone's Throw very green, you know, didn't really understand a whole lot about how things work. I mean, major things from publishing and you know royalties to minor things like you know how collaboration works in a business setting. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And or how it often works. So
Right.
you know, I wasn't a very professional person. You know, that
Hmm.
isn't to say that I'm particularly professional now, but I definitely have learned a lot about the business end of making records and I also learned a lot about what it is I want out of
Okay.
making records and you know how I want to disseminate them, what's important to me creatively, you know, like putting I mean I don't know how many put records I put out with Stone Soap. It seems like 100, but I know it was
It
like
seems like a lot.
maybe
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it was 4 LPs and maybe 4 EPs, but you
Hmm.
know, in a way, the lessons that I learned, you know, through putting out hallways, kindness for weakness, veins, first of a living breed, and all the EPs was kind of exactly the things that I wanted to oversee as far as my creativity. So I was able to take all those lessons and really apply them to Dusty. So I
Hmm.
kind of feel that Dusty has a uh, a
It
finished
has a Stone's
product.
Throw
Yeah.
vibe to it. Not to label your music with Stone's Throw, but that vibe that was coming out of the projects, it seems like is a remnants of that.
Well, you know, it's a Homeboy Sandman record, and there were many Stones to Homeboy Sandman records.
Yeah.
Um, so it, you know, remains a Homeboy Sandman record, but I feel like I was able to take a lot of the creative and structuring, you know, lessons that I learned and songwriting lessons that I've learned,
Hmm.
and kind of album energy lessons that I've learned, and apply them to Dusty.
Right. Now, like I said, I've been listening to the album, and I want to say one of my favorite tracks of the album is entitled "Easy." Now, on
Word
this
up.
particular song, you allude to the interactions you've had with different people of multiple complexities, yet still being able to keep it peaceful, and even go as far in the actual song as emphasizing that the process is an easy one. What were you trying to convey with the concept of easy in this song? Like,
I mean, you know, the feel of that record and the whole, you know, the record is very laid back. I don't have to try
mm,
too hard. I don't need to, you know, Easy's kind of juxtaposed. I think the next song after it is Yes I believe.
that's
Um,
another one of my joints.
yeah, but Yes I is mile a minute raps. You know what I mean? It's you know, which I love to do and I enjoy doing. But I don't need to do that. You know, on Easy I could be sparse. You know, I when I show up and the beat is there, you know what I do to it is going to be magical. You know, like
Hmm.
you know this you know that's what Easy's all about. And you know when I talk about you know in that second verse, I'm talking about things I've picked up and interactions that I've had you know throughout my life, And like I bring up God before. I bring up God all the time, especially today. God is always with me. You know, and things are challenging. Things are challenging in my life. There's challenges and obstacles, but you know, uh, uh, God can make anything happen. You know what I mean? That's you know that's a string that goes through all my songs. I know nobody's gonna listen to Easy and think of God, but I'm gonna think
Right.
about God. Answering the question. About the song because I'm capable of doing it. I put in work into my records, and I remember writing Easy. You know what I mean? Like I took time with it, and I take time, with my jams. But I knew I was capable. You know what I mean? And it's not difficult.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm,
you say that
I
a
just
couple
gotta put the
times. It's
work
not
in. You know,
difficult.
it's
Yeah.
not difficult. Is you know 2 + 2 = 4. And when I say that,
Right.
what I mean is like if I put the time in and the work in, that's the two. And then I got the goods, and I got the talent. That's the other two. I'm gonna get the four. You know what I mean? It's not. It just takes the work, and it just takes the focus to get to the four. And in that sense, it's not difficult. All it takes is patience. All it takes is faith. Which are two very important things. But put them together, and boom.
Yeah, I could sense that there's a high level of optimism in the track, right? Because, like I said, you even talk about the different people that you've met. Like you've met sane people, insane people.
Mhm.
I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember the exact lines,
Yeah.
but like, you're
Insane
talking
people,
about all the
demented
different
people.
crazy people
Yeah.
you met, and and you still was able to still deal with them like it was nothing. And I thought that was pretty interesting that you put a song together with that concept. Yep.
No doubt. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, it's funny you said, yes, I guess I'll ask you about that song. I really feel like on that song, you're really in the pocket. Like, I listened to that song over and over again. I think last week, and I was just like, wow. Like, there's moments in that song where your vocals are in sync with the beat that it sounds like it's just one instrument.
Word up,
Like
word up.
it is just like the melody is just one, and I'm like, wow, this is really dope. And so I'm just curious to know, like, how did that marriage come about between your vocals and that beat? Like, what was the process in creating that song?
I heard, Mono. When I heard that beat, it actually was a lot more. Actually, we did some post production on that one with my boy Schwump. You know, Andrew Esposito added some live percussion, and he added, some chimes and some other drums, but
Mm-hmm.
and some triangle and whatnot. But before we got to that, the beat was originally pretty different, as far as the sample,
Mm-hmm.
that Mono had used. But there was just that one little that intense drum part that turns out being the main sample for the beat, that I just wanted to continue to. I said I want to rock this for 5 minutes. It's just, and I want to just dance on it and just ride it for 5 minutes. And I wrote that song over a period of 2 or 3 days, but I was writing it. I remember I was in Buffalo at the time. Where I have some dear friends, and I was up there recording,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just sitting out on the porch working on that jam, and then I was eating, at the table, we're working on that jam, and just, certain songs like that song, there's a lot going on in it. It's not like a picture on the wall that's about something, or pussy that's about something, or
Mm-hmm.
name. Like it's just intensity raps. And sometimes when I do like an intensity raps joint, once I get it started, like once I get the first line going, it's kind of like a wind up toy. I just I can't stop doing it until it's done. You know what I mean? I'm just
Mm-hmm.
kind of obsessed with it for a series of hours or days, however long it takes. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I heard the music in that one, and I just heard, I just heard my voice on that one, and I just need to fill it in, for
Mm.
me, I've talked about we probably talked about it before, but you know, I try to have my melodies be, uh, captivating.
Mm-hmm.
That even if there was no rhymes in it, it would be good to listen to. And I try to have my rhymes be captivating. That even if I had no melody, it'd be good to listen to. And I try to
Mm.
combine that. So I definitely heard a melody in that, that I wanted to surf on for an extended period of time, and spend a lot of time trying to execute that.
Dope, dope, dope. Yo, big ups to Mono and Stereo, also known as or formerly known as LR and that. Say the
Yeah,
say it again.
LRTNC, and then he was authentic before
LRTNC.
that.
See, I almost messed it
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
know
yeah.
you've worked with
So
this brother for a number of times in the past.
yeah,
What like how did this relationship develop over time with you and him?
this cat Susio Smash actually introduced me to him, and then I had a
Oh,
falling
shout out
out
to
with
Susio.
Susio. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a falling out with Susio after that, but I do remember. I do think to myself, if not for Susio, I would have never met Mono. So I kind of,
Mm.
that squashes it to me in my head. But yeah, Mono was working on a record of his called Atmananda that he put out how many years ago? Maybe 10 or 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a verse on it. We did a joint called Magician, and it's funny because Mono actually works a lot with Curious now. I believe they're working on
Mm.
something, and Magician is kind of his persona or character, or very much his identity and spirit actually in real life. But I know he spells it with a J for Jorge.
Mm.
But all that being said, yeah, we worked on that. We just immediately, he really, I think, as far as selecting loops, I mean, there's a number of guys that people think about, Dilla, and people think about Premier, people think about, the pantheon, of people, people think about Madlib, like these people just, even my boy Edon, who I did the Humble Pie with, like, for those that
Mm-hmm.
know, they recognize that there are a certain class of people who are so familiar with records and so familiar with little segments of every record that was ever put out. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
not every record, but so many records. Um, and are able to select pieces and segments of these to make new music, that
Mm-hmm.
it's a God given gift, And just as I sometimes come across, rappers that are phenomenally gifted and underknown, and sometimes I come across, phenomenally gifted rappers who are well known. I'm not always sure what I'm not sure why I'm not sure what the formula is for notoriety, but
Right.
Mono and Stereo, when I listen to, the segments of songs that he selects, to highlight and loop and chop, however he, uh, I think I hear music. I hear music created with other music as beautiful as any. Those other people I name. I hold them in high esteem and high regard. And uh, Mono making music out of other music. I mean, that's what I think of when I think of sampling. It's a special skill. DJ Spinner. It's a special skill. And Mono, he could be up there with any of them dudes, as far as the music that I hear. The beats on Dusty, the beats on Cool Herc Photo Crescent. And Mono,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at his catalog, when he was named LRTNC, when he was named Authentic, when he was named Rich Boogie, when he was named, 15 different things,
Mm.
he got hot beats on a lot of people's stuff. His beats are the real deal.
You know, speaking of his beats, I have to say there are moments on this album where I'm a little bit disappointed, but in a good way. I don't know if that makes sense, but
That's a good one.
Tressborn, why
Oh, what
did
up?
you not rap over that?
You're the second person to say that. My boy from the Hellhole store in Philly. he actually rapped over that just because he was so irritated that I didn't rap on it. He made a joint, and it's pretty hot too. He's gonna be rocking with me in Philly next month. My boy Darko, but you want to the thing that's the same thing people said when we did Cool Herc Photo Crescent. There were interludes on there. My friend Abigail, who's one of my dearest friends, her favorite beat on the whole album was an interlude beat. She was like, "You got to make a song," and then she had the idea, I should do a whole remix EP rapping over the interludes. But that one had like 4 interludes. I think this album has 3 if you count the intro. But
yo, remember how you used to do those bonus tracks during the Stone's Throw era?
Yeah.
And you would just throw them out.
Yeah, the out now.
But go ahead. I digress. But I was just thinking about it. I was like, maybe we could get a Trustborn in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the truth is, this was a collaborative record between me and Mono, and I feel, with the Cool Herc Photo Crescent came out, and you saying that, and my boy Darko saying that, like, it's I'm glad to hear that y'all would have liked to hear me on that. But that's that's Mono's time to shine right there. We didn't have those interludes just to fill things up. If we took the interludes out, it'd still be, we had those interludes because they added, and that's him speaking right there. That's his solo. It's like a saxophone solo. You know what I'm saying?
I can definitely hear.
So yeah, and at the same time, it's there for anybody to rhyme on who wants to.
All right, so I watched the Peter Rosenberg interview you did. And I saw that you said in response to him that you just got to keep writing because you're nervous. So you say you're too nervous in your mind to be nervous about what's going on outside.
Right.
And I wanted to talk to you about that. Like I think the nervousness in your mind works pretty well for your art, right? For the progression of your art, for you to stay busy as an artist. But I'm curious to know, what is a peace of mind? What does a peace of mind look like for you?
That's a good question. I mean, for the art, it drives me. My boy Waz Mateo told me that he felt like I needed to sabotage myself in life to keep creating art. I struggle and I make stupid decisions in personal relationships. I have a lot of growing. I was even talking to you about, like, I need to establish some ground rules for living that are not. It's great for art. It's great for art to be kind of like, for me, it's great for art to be kind of like a mind that never switches off, a mind that is, that never feels, a mind kind of rife with anxiety in a lot of ways. Always under pressure, always feeling like it needs to create something, always feeling like it needs to figure something out, always feeling like it needs to look at something from a new way, always feeling like it needs to be evolving, like it's on the clock. My mind is always on the clock. You know what I mean? Is it doing right? Is it doing wrong? Is my thought correct? Am I second guessing it, third guessing it, whatever, however many, that pushes me to go at every situation from multiple angles, to attack beats from new angles. That pushes me to creatively, that mindset of that nervousness and that constant tension in my mind, creatively is responsible for why I got 18 records, or however many, 17, 19. It's responsible for that. So it's a blessing. At the same time, I've been spending more and more time as of late, looking at my life and at my personal relationships, and I need to find a way to walk the line between it would be great to establish some variety of stability in other facets of my life that I've not established yet, and that's something I'm working on now. But for the art, it's cool, but I haven't even written for a few weeks now, and that's like the long. I've gone through periods of not writing, but I'm trying to get my mind together. Like you told me, you watched that Rosenberg interview. I was clearly in a certain mind state then, and I'm not in the same mind state now. But I'm, there's, but for the art, it's great, But I
Yeah, yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I
Yeah, I was just
definitely,
curious to
I
know,
got
like, what
18
do you
records
do
out. I
that
got 18 records
relaxes you?
out.
You know, people do meditation. Maybe there's something that it might not be
Yeah,
that, but it's something that works to calm that
I feel
mind.
like
You know.
I feel like maybe I could. Yeah, meditation is something I've been thinking about.
Mm.
I've been, this morning when I woke up, I was, talking to God, and might have been mantras, but I've been reminding myself of different things. Like, meditation might be helpful because I got enough records that I could chill for a second and just try to get my mind correct.
Right, right. Appreciate you are answering that.
Yeah, no doubt. It's
Um.
good to talk. Man. Thank you for playing the records, supporting the records for years, yo.
Oh yeah, definitely, brother. Live and Breathe. Is another track I was listening to heavy. And there's a line on there where you say, well, let me just say this, Sam. By now, you know I'm a lyric head, so I really listen and I decipher, and that's one of the reasons why I really like you as an artist, because you challenge the listener. Um, but there's a line on there where you say, I sit considering alliance with the liars and cheats. Without your
Yeah.
love, then what could I achieve? When it wanders, that reminder puts my mind at ease. Of course, I'm still
Word.
sticking to the mind thing, right? I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
curious to
yeah.
know what were you referring to when you were talking about it putting your mind at ease?
What I was when I was talking about it, putting my mind at ease. I feel like I have made some allegiance with the lies and cheats. When I was writing that line, I feel like I had made some allegiance with the lies and cheats. It for my benefit, for the
Mm-hmm.
benefit of my progression as far as an artist, but not only creating art, as far as disseminating it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then saying, without your love, then what could I achieve when I wanted? So, but I feel bad about that sometimes. I feel bad
Mm-hmm.
about compromising on things that used to be so important to me, things that are still important to me. I feel bad about compromising. My mind starts to wander to, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is not you. This is not why you're here. This is not why you have this gift. But I feel like without some of these compromises, what would I be able without some of these compromises, I'll be rapping for myself in my living room. You know what I
Right.
mean? What could I achieve? Like, so when it wanders, that reminder puts my mind at ease. That's what that set of bars means. Wire
Mm-hmm.
from the wine and cheese is like a society that I'm able to, it's a metaphor for society that I'm able to keep, or a company that I'm able to keep.
Mm-hmm.
That was not my original atmosphere. Wire from the wine and cheese, I said, consider an alliance with the lies and cheese. Without your love, what could I achieve when it wanders, that reminder puts my mind at ease.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that set of bars is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured it was that, but it was kind of hard for me to decipher it. But I came up with two theories, and the one that you just gave was one. So that makes me feel good. But I mean, it's so much more I could ask you, but I know that your time is short, brother. I guess in closing, I would say, well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to talk with me.
My pleasure.
In no doubt, in closing, I would say, like, we're coming to a close with, the album's been out, like I said, for about a week and a half now. What's next in store for you? What at this level? I mean, this is a mellow music release. Are we going to see more mellow music releases? What do you want to? What's the next step for Homeboy Sandman?
The next step is I got a record that's been out for a week and a half, and you might have listened to it 100 times. You still ain't got no idea what's going on in it. Go listen to it for the next 2 years before you ask me what's going on next.
Word,
That's what's next.
word. I
What's
got
next
you.
is listening to Dusty. What's next is listening to Dusty until you know the middle of 2020 at least, and then you know then you might ask me what's next, and I'll still tell
No
you go
doubt.
back listen to some more.
I could dig that. I could dig that. And I gotta say, like, I thought it was clever how in the song "Far Out" you was like you could listen on Neptune with the tune. The Mars reference was the fact that you could feel water on Mars, right?
Dad, yo, you take it deep. You take it deep, champ.
I was listening,
Yo,
brother.
Baby, you.
I was
Hey,
like,
listen.
I
I'm sorry. My baby girl just finished designing something amazing, and I gotta go look at it.
no
But
doubt, my brother. Listen, much respect, all the best,
it's
continued
great to talk,
success.
yo. I appreciate you and what you do, and how you show people how to listen to lyrics, yo. Talk to you later, peace.
All right, fam. Have a good one. Homeboy Sandman, out the box.